And so joining us now is City Comptroller and mayoral candidate Brad Lander. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Great to be with you, Morgan.
So what are your thoughts on this latest poll? Are you discouraged? You were still within that margin of error for third place. What are your thoughts?
And as the graphic you just put up showed, a strong third in ranked choice. Look, voters are just starting to clue in. At this point 4 years ago, Catherine Garcia, I think, was at 4% in the polls, and she only lost Eric Adams by 7,000 votes. And boy, I wish she had won, because we wouldn't have all this corruption. We'd have somebody standing up to Trump and make a New York City government run better. So I'm out there talking to voters every day. We've got 5 weeks plus. I believe voters want to turn the page on corruption, have somebody that'll stand up to Trump, but also mostly deliver good government that actually works for New Yorkers, and that's what I can do.
So tell New Yorkers and our viewers a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
So I'm the New York City Comptroller. I know how to make this city run better, and that's what I'm going to do, and focus on the big problems of safety and affordability. I've got a plan to end street homelessness for people with serious mental illness. We don't have to be a city where a couple thousand mentally ill people sleep on subway platforms and sidewalks and the stoops of our building. And I've spent my whole career on housing. I've built and preserved tens of thousands of units. I've got a plan for 500,000 new homes so we can make the city safer, more affordable, improve quality of life, get rid of the corruption of the Adams administration, not bring in new corruption from Andrew Cuomo, and just make city government deliver for New Yorkers.
So you've spent a lot of time in this race hitting the front runner, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, on a variety of issues like the $60 million taxpayers have spent and are still spending on his legal bills, his $5 million book deal during the height of COVID. Do you think these attacks are landing, considering he hasn't really budged in the polls too much?
Well, there's a lot of people that don't want him to be mayor. You know, he has 100% name ID, but most people aren't supporting him. So there is a majority coalition of people that don't want to just replace one corrupt mayor with another corrupt mayor. This week we learned he's illegally coordinating with his super PAC. The Campaign Finance Board fined him $622,000. And then DoorDash, this big corporation, dropped $1 million into his independent expenditure into his super PAC because they think he'll do their bidding. So yes, I think as New Yorkers pay attention, and they just haven't been focused on this race given Trump and everything else, that they'll say, we don't want more corruption. We want to move forward to a safer, more affordable, better run, and more honest city.
Now, you have a whole list of priorities on your website. We picked just a couple of them that are some of your top priorities. This includes end street homelessness for New Yorkers with serious mental illness and retail theft, reduce crime and confront the staffing crisis at the NYPD, fight hate crimes and antisemitism, ensure kindergarten through 8th grade is free for all New Yorkers, and declare a state of emergency over the city's housing crisis. So we're going to get into each one of them. So starting first with street homelessness. Now, this street homelessness right now has the highest level in nearly 2 decades. You put out a 75-page plan. Break it down for us.
Yeah. So, you know, we're talking about around 2,000 people who are seriously mentally ill and sleeping on the street. We don't have to have it be that way. With a real continuum of care. Look, when people need to be taken to the hospital, I got a plan to do that. Mental health courts are a strong option. But at its core, if you want to get people off the street, they have to be in housing and services. Otherwise, even if they come out of the hospital or come out of jail, they'll be right back where they were. So there's a plan called Housing First that takes people right from the street into a supportive housing unit with services. It's been proven to work in Houston, Denver, Salt Lake City, 70 to 90% of the time. I'm going to make it work here.
And your plan, you're saying, will cost $100 million in the first year and then $30 million in the following years. And you recently came out with a report showing how successful these supportive housing units are. A lot of the people that go in stay in these apartments, and these apartments have wraparound services, but they also don't require people living there to have a job or be sober. And opponents of these supportive housing units say that, you know, it doesn't really provide people incentives to move on from these apartments. So I know the homelessness issue is not just a one-person issue, but do you think that these supportive housing units, are they the future of our solution to homelessness?
They are.
Is this going to be a permanent cost?
Well, first, if they're not in housing, then they're on the street. That's the only other choice. So you can have people go into hospital for a few days or a week or two, then they're going to come out. And the question is, do you want them back on the street or subway where they'll get worse and sometimes be a danger to themselves and others, or do you want them in housing and services? To me, it's a pretty simple choice. And those organizations are working with people to get jobs, to help people get stable and and move forward, and an enormous number of them do. But even those of them that don't, there's great day treatment programs. I was just at Fountain House, an amazing clubhouse model that's got people writing, making the food, doing the gardening, taking care of the buildings, helping people be productive and successful. This is the model.
So you also, when it comes to public safety, you also say you're going to keep Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch
Yes.
on, and you also say you want to address the staffing crisis at the NYPD. How would you do this?
So I want to expand the NYPD cadet program. This is a great program that pays for college tuition for young people, but right now you've got to already have 45 college credits. I want to start that for New Yorkers right out of high school. So you graduate high school, you could become an NYPD cadet, start working right away to keep our neighborhood safe while we're paying for your CUNY tuition. When you get to your associate's degree, then you can take the NYPD exam and join the force. We can recruit and retain and support officers.
Now, in 2020, you did back the defund the police movement and push for a $1 billion cut to the NYPD budget. And you pointed out in past interviews that, years ago you did vote for a budget that included more officers. And then in 2020, you were just responding to the times. But how do you assure cops that they can trust you if they do enter the workforce?
Look, I've been working with police officers on their pension funds. That's what the comptroller does. And I have to say, we solve problems with them around long COVID, around officers and their family members when officers were killed in the line of duty. So cops know I've got their backs. Look, I've been real clear. I think progressives were slow to respond to the rise of disorder and crime during the pandemic, and we're paying the social and political costs. What all New Yorkers want is accountability and safety. And they want accountability when people commit crimes. They also want accountability if officers use excessive force. And they want accountability from the mayor to actually deliver. So that's the model I'm going to have. Straight talk, respond to the moment, safer city, fairer city.
Now, you are also one of the highest-ranking Jewish elected officials in New York City government, and one of your big platforms is anti-Semitism. So we're actually going to play a clip here that you posted, and we're going to talk about it in a minute.
Is arising, and we must fight it. But we must not fall for cynical approaches from opportunistic politicians, in some cases, politicians who aren't even Jewish, trying to demonize leaders who are.
So help break that down, exactly who you were talking about and what your platform would address.
Yeah, so that's me at the West Side Institutional Synagogue. I am a proud Jewish New Yorker. I'm the highest ranking Jewish elected official in city government. And I love what this city has been for Jews. Andrew Cuomo went into that synagogue and tried to weaponize anti-Semitism. Just like Donald Trump called Chuck Schumer not Jewish anymore, Andrew Cuomo's tried to weaponize anti-Semitism and even attack me in a way that I just find enraging and preposterous. So I have the most comprehensive plan in the race of any candidate to combat hate crimes, including anti-Semitism, which is on the rise, get at it online with the Citizens Crime Commission, strengthen the NYPD Hate Crimes Task Force, and get more education, anti-hate education in our schools for our young people. I've got a great program to do it so we can defeat hate and anti-Semitism both in the short term and in the long run.
Now, when it comes to affordability, you say you would declare a state of emergency over the city's housing crisis, and then you're also proposing to pave over 4 of the city's 12 golf courses to build more housing. That's a unique idea. What kind of brought that on?
And let's make clear, it's not just pave over. We have 12, the city's got 12 golf courses. I was surprised to learn there's 12, 2,500 acres. 8 will still be plenty for lots of tee times for golfers, but you could build 4 great new neighborhoods with beautiful open space and parks that more people are using than are getting on those courses right now. Schools, libraries, and 50,000 affordable homes for New Yorkers to own or rent. A big reason housing's so expensive is land costs, but here the city owns the land. So we can actually make housing that's affordable for working class, low income, and middle class families, like the Mitchell-Lama of old, Penn South, Co-op City, great new neighborhoods, and genuinely affordable homes.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Comptroller. Any last words you would like to tell to voters?
I mean, for people who are looking for someone who's honest and effective and who will just make city government run better and stand up to Donald Trump, check out my Corruption Crusher ad where I crush a Tesla. I will fight for you, clean up city government, and deliver for all New Yorkers.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.